shipmates, family, and friends, and to our guest speaker, welcome to our Submarine Veterans Day Memorial Service. Guests, please stand.
Sub-school, attention!
Color Guard, parade the colors.
Color guard. Flags out. Right, face. Forward, mark. Right turn. Color guard. Halt. Left face. Parade out. Present out.
Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mr. Barry Russick.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now our national anthem. Color Guard, retire the colors.
Color guard. Color guard. Flags up. Right face. Forward march. Left turn.
Sub-Bench Chaplain Jack Gallimore will deliver the invocation.
Would you please join me in a moment of prayer? Almighty God, we give thanks for this opportunity to recognize and remember all the men and women who have served in our armed forces, defending our freedom and safeguarding our American way of life. The year 2015 marks the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II and the 100th anniversary of the founding of our submarine base here in Groton. While the war on terror has been and continues to be the longest war in the history of our country, it continues even today. The greatest difference between this war and all the others is that we have more crippled, dismembered, and mentally challenged veterans than ever before. In previous wars, many of the veterans would have died in the field. The loss of the Civil War and World War I were simply slaughtered, and World War II is not far behind. Smaller career, and Vietnam had less losses, but nonetheless losses. With Iraq, Afghanistan, and other skirmishes, our losses were significantly less than those in other wars due to the miracles of modern battlefield medicine. However, these miracles have created far more crippled and challenged survivors than ever before. These and those wounded warriors are the ones that we especially need to support and recognize for their pain and their burdens, physical and mental, given for our country and for each one of us. The word invocation is defined as the entreating, pleading, or petitioning for something which most invocations do. Rather than asking for you or in your stead, I urge each one of you to be aware of the presence within you of the higher power most called God. If each one of you will take a moment now to focus on your individual awareness of the God's presence within you, you will then be able to truly share in the gratitude that we have for the millions of United States military veterans who have risked their lives in the defense of their country and all that we stand for. Amen.
Amen.
Yes, please be seated. Substitute, parade rest. Welcome. Welcome to the USSBI Groton-based Veterans Day Memorial Service. We're here today to honor our heroes, to remember their achievement, their courage, their dedication, and to say thank you for their sacrifices. Thinking of the heroes who join us in this group today and those who are here only in spirit. Veterans Day serves a very important purpose. It is the day we recognize not just those who have given their lives in war, but all of those who have worn the uniform of service. This day, above all, is an opportunity to celebrate the choice one makes to serve their country. For some, it meant the worldwide conflict of both World War I and World War II, or a lifetime of peacekeeping missions, or an intense standoff in the Cold War. Others found themselves in the jungles of Vietnam, or in Korea, Panama, Iraq, or Afghanistan. Not just active duty, but also reservists, who sacrificed twice when they had to give up their civilian jobs in order to serve their country. We have many, many examples of courage, service, and sacrifices to reflect on today. Let's use this opportunity now and on Veterans Day and the years to come to celebrate the service to our nation, to demonstrate the appreciation we have for our military, and to inspire future generations to dedicate themselves in the name of many that have come before them. The service members that we honor here today have come from many walks of life, but they all share the same characteristics. They possess courage, pride, determination, selflessness, dedication to duty, and above all, integrity. All qualities needed to serve a cause larger than oneself. In November 1961, President John F. Kennedy's speech at Arlington Cemetery stated, "We celebrate Veterans Day for a very few minutes, a few seconds of silence, and then this country's life goes on. But I think it's most appropriate that we recall on this occasion and on every other moment when we are faced with great responsibilities, the contribution and the sacrifice which so many have made in order to permit this country to now occupy a present position of responsibility and freedom, in order to permit us to gather here together. Today, people throughout this country would gather together to remember, to honor, to pay gratitude to those who have served our country. Our gathering is just one small spark in a flame of pride that burns across the nation today and every day. It's not a lot, but it's one small way that we can honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can live in freedom. Now it's my distinct honor to introduce our base commander for Groton Base, Mr. Al Kinsey.
Good morning. Members of presidential party, Commander Stronach, Mrs. Stronach and family, Captain Snyder, CMC Clark, and our World War II veterans. As I call your name, if you would either raise a hand or stand and let us salute you. Ernie Plants. Mr. Serrano. Warren Wiles. Chuck Alinger. Leroy Webb. Dean Brown. These are our heroes of World War II. I'd like to thank our friends from the VFW and from the Fleet Reserve for being here with us today. Especially the subvets and you, mostly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to today's ceremony. As we celebrate the Submarine Centennial this year, we look upon this historic event of 100 years of submarine history, a beginning and a continuation of our military strengths here in the greater Groton, New London area. We're here today to honor our veterans who have served, keeping our country safe from harm's way, especially our fallen heroes, to remember their achievements, their courage, and their dedication, and to say thank you for your sacrifice. We're also here today to honor the men and women in uniformed services for all they do to protect our way of freedom and our way of life. Today, our troops continue to make the ultimate sacrifice, and even as we lose our friends, our relatives, our mothers, and our fathers in conflicts around the globe, more Americans are stepping up to serve our great nation. They follow in the same footsteps of generations of Americans before us. So as we gather here to remember and honor and pay our gratitude to those who have served our country, it's not a lot, but in a small way, we can honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice so that our freedom is preserved. We remember and honor all of them. Thank you for attending today's service. God bless you and your families, and God bless the United States of America. Now it's my honor to introduce a big supporter, a friend of subvets, and our guest speaker, Commander Kurt Stronach. He assumed the duties of Executive Officer of the Naval Submarine Base, New London, here in Groton, on December 2013. Born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts, Commander Stronach enlisted in the Navy in 1982. Following his graduation from boot camp, he attended basic submarine school and torpedoman school here in Groton. During his early Navy career, he served on the USS George C. Marshall, SSVN 654 Blue Crew, as the LPO of the Torpedo Division. He was advanced to Chief Petty Officer where he became the leading petty officer on the USS Key West, SSN 722. Commander Stronach was selected and commissioned through the LDO Limited Duty Officer Program in 1994. From 2001 to 2004, he served as Executive Officer at the Naval Submarine Torpedo Facility in Yorktown, Virginia. Returning to Groton in 2004, Commander Stronach served as the Weapons Officer at NSSF, the Naval Submarine Support Facility here in Groton. In 2009, he reported to the staff of Commander Submarine Force Atlantic in Norfolk, Virginia. And he also served as Executive Officer on a target, USS Emory S. Land AS-39. Please give a warm welcome to Commander Stronach, Executive Officer, Naval Submarine Base, New London.
Well, good morning. I've got to say that I served on the Trepang, and George would get me if I didn't. So my first submarine was the USS Trepang, and I did 5 years. Am I okay, George? Thank you. So distinguished participants, attendees, Mayor Galbraith, Captain Snyder, Captain McHale, sub-vets, the Elks, the Boy Scouts, the Fleet Association, sub-school itself. So I'd like to say for submarine veterans, sailors from the Naval Submarine Base and the Naval Submarine School, members, veterans, friends of the Armed Forces of the United States, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to thank Al Kinsley and sub-vets for the invitation for this morning. You say I'm the biggest supporter. I'm in awe of what you guys do and the service you provide. And so I'd be more than happy to do whatever you need me to do. So as a long-in-the-tooth LDO, limited duty officer that I am, this could be possibly my last active duty, in uniform, active duty Veterans Day. And so I was discussing that with my wife, who's here in the front row, and we were talking about it, and she pointed out that I would probably do better in a sub-vet's vest. It would certainly ease the strain on the gold buttons I put on here over the last couple of years. So I guess there's no lunch for me today. As I look out over the veterans and the sailors, the numbers are telling. Since our nation's founding, some 48 million men and women have donned the uniform and have proudly stepped forward to defend our freedoms. Today, there are nearly 21 million living veterans. Currently deployed at home and around the globe, there are 1.4 million Americans in the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, National Guard, and Merchant Marine. They represent less than 1% of the U.S. population. In our Navy, there are more than 500,000 active duty and reserve sailors and Navy Department civilian employees. As we speak, there are some 145 ships and submarines at sea and more than 3,700 aircraft ready for operations. Sailors and Marines are forward deployed around the globe at the pointy end of the spear in the war on terrorism, ensuring our strategic deterrence, maintaining sea control and marine security, rendering humanitarian assistance, and supporting disaster response. They are there now. They'll be there tonight while we're sleeping. They'll be there every Saturday, Sunday, and holiday of this year. Veterans Day allows us to recognize them and all those who have stepped forward and contributed so much to guarding and maintaining the liberties that we cherish. Ever since the first Veterans Day, originally called Armistice Day in 1919, Americans have paused to salute the service and remember the sacrifice of those that kept us free. The sacrifice has been tremendous. We gathered here today know it all too well. On the World War II Memorial Wall of Honor, where we would be today if we didn't have a lovely Groton day, Mayor, thank you very much. A little chilly there. There are 3,505 names of enlisted and officer submariners of World War II who made the ultimate sacrifice, giving the last full measure of devotion in their lives for us and democracy. They and hundreds of thousands of other Americans gave their all, built the foundation, and formed the very soul that the Armed Forces serves today. Adding to the legacy of nearly 7,000 U.S. servicemen and women who died in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the 50,000 wounded there. While I never forget such sacrifice, each day at the submarine base, I'm also reminded of service. I have the privilege and pleasure of serving sub-base with more than 6,500 of America's finest young men and women. The students from Naval Submarine School here this morning represent all those attending the training at the base and or supporting the crewing of the 15 attack submarines that are home ported in Groton. They continue an extraordinary legacy of honor, courage, and commitment passed on to them by veterans they follow. We have the privilege and honor today to have those veterans that we have followed present with us. They continue to embody and carry out the one simple action to remember. As a submarine veterans, they are dedicated to perpetuating the memory of our shipmates who have gave their lives in pursuit of their duties while serving their country. They are committed to ensuring those who have laid down their lives continue to be a constant source of motivation toward greater accomplishments by those of us that remain. I know I speak for the men and women stationed here at Submarine Base in London when I say sub-vets. Thank you for all you do for Submarine Force and your continued efforts to honor those who have served our great nation. Please join me in a round of applause for the men and women of the Submarine Force, our Submarine Veterans Organization called Sub-Vets. But those of us in uniform today, just like those who wore the uniform in the past, could not do all we do without the support of the American people. Support exemplified by the citizens of Connecticut. In October, Subbase celebrated a centennial milestone marking the 1915 arrival of the first permanently home-ported submarines in the Navy Yard in Groton. Connecticut and its citizens embraced those submarines and submarine sailors then, and they continue to do so today. In fact, Governor Dana Malloy has designated October 2015 to 2016 as a year-long celebration entitled Connecticut's Submarine Century. Connecticut Submarine Century will honor the local heritage and global impact made over the last 100 years by those who have, those who continue to design, build, operate one of the most complex and influential marvels of the deep, our United States submarines. A cornerstone of Connecticut Submarine Century will be the centennial commemoration of the nation's first submarine base, Naval Submarine Base New London, and Naval Submarine School, both officially established in June of 1916. The base and the school, along with business, industry, communities throughout the state, have grown, matured, and collectively earned Groton and Connecticut the mantle of submarine capital of the world. Well, I assure you that Southeast Connecticut's Navy is indeed humbled by the part we've played in such recognition and support. So as we mark Veterans Day this year, the numbers may indeed be telling, but so are the character, compassion, and the support of the American people. The fabric of our United States remains woven in the men and women who have served and are serving in our Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, National Guard, and Merchant Marine. And by the citizens of every small town and big city that have always supported the armed forces. I am proud to be counted among the nation's veterans. It has been, continues to be, my honor to serve. Thank you very much for the honor to speak today. I would like to thank